Firefighters are still monitoring hotspots in Summit County after that small wildfire that popped up yesterday afternoon near the town of Frisco. Thanks for joining us for 9 News at Noon. I'm Tom Green. Of course, that was a small fire that caused a lot of concern over the last 24 hours, partly because it was so visible, burning close to I-70. It started burning near the Meadow Creek trailhead right off of the interstate. The smoke crept into neighborhoods, but thankfully no homes were threatened. When the flames started, the temperatures were close to 70 degrees up in Summit County. The sheriff's office says that's why fire restrictions are still in place, prohibiting open burning campfires.
Under stage 1 fire ban in Summit County, you can't have a fire in the county, you can't have a fire in the national forest, except for in a designated campground. But right now, all the campgrounds are closed. So the simple answer is no fires in Summit County.
Now, there is one exception to the rule: designated fire pits on private property that have been approved by the fire department. Those are, in fact, allowed. Those restrictions also in place in Grand and Routt counties this afternoon. The cause of that fire remains under investigation. They do believe it was to have been human caused. As we look outside, the warm temperatures aren't letting up just yet. We're expecting things to change, but here in the low 70s, still more high fire danger today. But our first freeze in the Denver metro area is on its way. So let's bring in meteorologist Keely Chalmers with our 9 News Impact Weather team now to take a look at when and what's coming.
Yeah, Tom, a lot of impactful weather events on our way. One of them happening right now, and that is the windy conditions you can see from our Skycam out over Idaho Springs. It is bouncing around. It is windy out there. Those winds will pick up as we head into the afternoon as well. Partly cloudy skies, but certainly breezy. Temperatures climbing into the 70s. So currently we're at 74 already out at DIA, so warmer than we initially thought. 62 in Greeley, we're at 57 in Fort Collins, so 70s all the way down to 81 degrees across the plains in Springfield. We're getting up to about 81 degrees this afternoon, and then we're looking at temperatures in the 50s and 60s in the high country, so already a little bit warmer than we anticipated, but those winds certainly gusting up to 33 miles per hour in Fort Collins. Buckeye recording a 55 mile per hour wind gust. We're also seeing very breezy conditions up in the high country, 46 miles per hour right now recorded at Loveland Pass. As a result, we do have that fire weather alert to talk about. A red flag warning in effect. Palmer Divide north along I-25 and out to the east for winds gusting up to 50 to 60 miles per hour. So any type of spark will spread rapidly. We've got sunny skies as we head into the evening hours, dropping into the 60s by about 3 o'clock. So we're warming up into the 70s, actually getting a little bit warmer than 71 out at DIA. Mostly sunny skies, but those winds gusting up to 40 miles per hour. And we do have, again, a big change in our forecast. So topping our weather headlines for today, that fire danger, warm and dry this weekend, and then the arrival of winter-like weather next week. We'll talk about when that big change will happen in your full forecast in just a bit.
Thank you, Keely. A Colorado man has filed the first lawsuit against McDonald's in connection with the E. coli outbreak linked to its Quarter Pounders. The outbreak has led to at least 49 illnesses covering 10 states, including one death here in Colorado. A lawyer for the man, Eric Stelly, says Stelly tested positive for E. coli after a few days of pain. He's now recovering. The lawsuit accuses McDonald's of product liability, negligence, and breach of implied warranties. It was filed in Cook County, Illinois on Wednesday, where McDonald's is headquartered. The lawyer representing Stelly says he's also representing at least 10 other alleged victims of the outbreak. McDonald's has not yet commented on the suit. Since that outbreak started, McDonald's has pulled Quarter Pounders from 20% of its restaurants across the U.S. The FDA thinks the onions on those hamburgers were the source of the contamination. NBC News has since reported that Taylor Farms, based in Colorado, has issued a recall of onions due to potential E. coli contamination. Now, we don't know if Taylor Farms is the supplier of these onions at this point. NBC is citing a notification issued by the supplier, U.S. Foods. It indicates 3 products provided under the Taylor Foods brand and 1 under the Cross Valley Farms brand. According to NBC, U.S. Foods is telling its clients to pull and destroy the products as soon as possible. Illegal Pizza is one of the restaurants to get that notice from U.S. Foods. And the company says every restaurant was contacted as quickly as possible. Managers were told to get rid of any affected onions, as well as food already prepped with the recalled product. Illegal Pizza tells us if a guest asks about the safety of their onions, to disclose the recall and the steps that were taken to ensure they were removed. Meanwhile, the restaurant chain is now working to find a new supplier of onions. Today, closing arguments are set to take place in Colorado's antitrust trial trying to block the merger between Kroger's and Albertsons. The state of Colorado wrapped up its case last week. The state's argument is focused on the Colorado Antitrust Act. State Attorney General Phil Weiser says if this merger were to go through, that would lead to less competition, damage worker rights, and bring higher grocery prices. Both sides agreed that the closings should take around 2 hours. Of course, we'll continue to follow with updates on the air and online at 9news.com. Also today, the couple accused of improperly storing nearly 200 bodies at their funeral home in Penrose are set to change their plea on the federal charges. John and Carrie Halford reached that plea deal with prosecutors in a federal wire fraud case last month. Court documents don't reveal the terms of the deal, but families and prosecutors were considering 15 years in federal prison for each of them. The Halfords also face more than 200 state charges. Prosecutors have also offered a plea deal there. In that case, that would give John 20 years in the Department of Corrections. Carrie would spend 15 to 20 years in prison. The Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial in City Park is whole again. It was vandalized earlier this year, but Ed Dwight, the artist who created the sculpture, has helped to repair it. Someone stole a torch and a plaque honoring African-American veterans back in February. 2 men were later arrested, and their cases are now moving through the court system.